Hey guys, welcome back to the Holy Sway podcast, episode 12? And we just got done watching Avengers Endgame this past weekend, and there is a lot to talk about. My name is Infotex, and we're also here with our boy, Red Arrow.
Hey, what's up, everyone?
And Exit over here.
Heyo.
So, before we really get into it, make sure that you've seen the movie, because we are talking spoilers. So go watch the movie and then come back. Also, make sure to subscribe to all of our other channels. So yeah, let's get into it. Overall thoughts. What's everyone's thoughts on Avengers Endgame, man?
It was amazing. I absolutely loved it.
Mm-hmm.
There's definitely some parts of it that are problematic, but
Right.
at the moment, only having seen it once, I can say that it is my favorite MCU movie yet.
Fair enough. Yeah. I don't think it's my favorite. I think the problems of it outweigh it a bit. But I still think it's one of the most enjoyable MCU movies.
Yeah.
At least in my top 2 or 3. And this movie was really a fan service kind of movie. It was really meant for the fans and to end off this chapter or the saga of the MCU. And it does its job perfectly. I get what they were trying to do, and they did it well. Again, there's problems with it, but I think it does its job. It definitely does its job. We can get into some of the other stuff later on, but yeah.
Yeah, I absolutely loved it. I'm gonna have to watch it again to decide if it's my favorite or not. After first coming out, I thought it was, but then I just start thinking about the problems I have, and
Right.
I don't know. I'm kind of thinking the problems might outweigh the ones I have with Infinity War,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, same.
and
Yeah.
I don't even have that many problems. Just the problems I have are kind of big.
Right, yeah, same.
It's like when you first come out, you're so
Yeah.
overwhelmed with how great.
Yeah,
some of it was.
there's so much good in there, but
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, I feel the same. There's, some bigger problems with it that I can't just unsee. And I think a lot has to do with the characters, and I think some of the characters and, their arcs were kind of ruined in this movie. At least for me. I don't know, I thought it was kind of weird, though. I don't know.
Yeah. It's weird because they did some things so amazingly well.
Right.
That's I don't see how they could do that any better. But then other things you're like, how could they do this so good, but then do this so completely opposite?
Right.
yeah,
Right.
there's just one thing in particular that I think was a misstep, and it just takes me out of the movie at times.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a couple of things. For example, I don't know if I was the only one, but was I the only one that got triggered when the mouse, stepped on the, quantum realm thingy, and he just, pops down? I'm like, wow, that was, really lazy writing.
I
don't know.
didn't think of that until people started mentioning it.
I mean, I saw it, I'm like, okay, is that lazy writing, or, I don't know, it's been 5 years, that band's gonna be dirtied up and stuff.
Yeah,
Something
I mean-
like that was going to have to happen eventually.
And yeah, and, the mouse only had to press, one button. Button. I don't know.
Yeah, there are people saying, it would have been better if, an actual person got him out, or, his daughter got him out or something,
Right.
but, if he went, the only people that knew he was going into the quantum realm were Hank, his wife, and
Yeah.
Jane, and they all got snapped.
I mean, I feel like it would have been
So-
cool. Maybe if the Avengers found him and they had the idea to do this time travel thing and they went to turn it on, he's pops out or something. Or I don't know. I just feel like it could have been approached a little differently.
I feel like it was more for convenience because they had so much to get through.
Yeah.
And while a side plot of maybe the Avengers discovering something that leads them to Scott, I don't know, they're looking for ways to go back and get Thanos, they look into quantum realm stuff, then they discover Hank, they discover his damage to Scott and all of that stuff and go down that way. But at the same time, that would take so long. That would be a solid hour of the movie, maybe.
Yeah,
If they
yeah,
did
fair. It works. I don't know. It works. And honestly, Ant-Man was in this movie a lot more than I thought he was going to be in. He was one of the main people inside this film. Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, he took a lot of screen time, which I think is good, because he's going to be one of the main characters going forward, if I would say.
Yeah, I think he needs to be a staple of
Right.
just the MCU.
Yeah, with, not Iron Man, with Spider-Man and, Black Panther.
Yeah.
I definitely think they're going to be the head of the MCU.
Yeah, those three and Doctor Strange.
Doctor Strange, yeah.
They're gonna be flying Captain Marvel probably. Sadly,
I was actually surprised how little Captain Marvel was in
Right.
it. I think they did it. And
when she wasn't, and I hated it though. Like I hated her. Well, I didn't hate it. I hated her.
And I kind of liked her in the third act. It was before the third act that I was kind of iffy on her.
And I'm glad they didn't pull that like Superman trope on her, and she just comes in and beats Thanos. I was like, please don't do this. Please don't. Don't do it. But yeah, she was in that like a lot less than I thought that she was going to be in.
Yeah.
I thought like they kind of made it seem like she was going to be like one of the main parts of the movie, and she just like wasn't in there, which was kind of shocking.
Yeah. Same with Okoye. She only had 6 minutes screen time, but she was on all of the posters.
Right, yeah. Yeah, it was really only the 6 Avengers plus Ant-Man and, like, War Machine. That was really it.
Yeah.
I mean, then you got Rocket and Gamora, but besides that, there wasn't...
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I thought it was good. I was not expecting that a time jump, though. I was honestly shocked because they start the movie and you kind of thought that it was going to go one certain way, and then they twist it. I'm like, oh wow, they just did that. Like, wow,
it was kind of crazy. Which while that was really cool doing that time jump, I felt like we didn't see enough of how much the characters had changed. Over those 5 years. It kind of just like, besides Thor, there was a huge change with Thor and Banner. I thought that you could definitely tell there was a huge time difference. But then when you get Steve and Natasha, it didn't really feel like any time had passed between the 5 years. They felt like the same characters.
Yeah, fair enough.
Pretty much identically.
Yeah, they felt,
Yeah, I feel like... And that brings up a problem going forward. A spoiler alert, obviously. But, like, at the end, we see them all come back. We see Peter come back. So, like, did everyone in Peter's school just, like, vanish? Because, like...
That's going to be problematic. That's a little... another problem I have is I think they should have erased the snap from existence. I think keeping the snap creates too much problems for all of the future movies.
Yeah. Because there's those... Yeah, there's very... It's like, problematic. Because, like, Peter should be, like, 20. He should be out of high school. And then, like, half of his classmates are, like... I don't know. They're, like, some should be graduate. It's very weird.
It's going to be convenient that all of the main characters from Homecoming ended up getting snapped with him.
Right. It's very weird. And I think that's why, I think that's something good that they're doing Far From Home right after this movie, because I think they're really going to touch on that. And Nick Fury, too, and how he affected on all of this, and, certain deaths that happened. Yeah. But yeah, I thought, like, that was kind of... there's another problem I have, and I think it's certain characters weren't done the best. Like, Banner, I liked him in his Professor Hulk form. I thought that was really cool, but it felt very rushed. And I don't think...
It was rushed, but I also felt like there wasn't much development there.
Right.
I feel like pretty much most of him in the movie was just for comedic purposes.
Oh, yeah.
And didn't really have I remember that they said ages ago that Bruce Banner was going to have a pretty important arc that would spread from Age of Ultron through Ragnarok, through Infinity War, and through Endgame. I definitely felt like he had a very big arc in Ragnarok, Age of Ultron, and kind of in the beginning of Infinity War. But I felt once, after the Thanos fight in the very beginning of Infinity War, where Hulk became scared and won't come out for the rest of the movie, I feel like he just didn't really have an arc from then until now.
Yeah. I feel like he's kind of wasted, because this is something that we've been waiting for the past 10 years for us to get this form of Hulk, and it felt very just uneventful and very, very rushed, which I was not... Like, I liked him. He was funny and all, but I feel like he's always kind of just been there just to make laughs and stuff. Like, even from Avengers, he was, a lot of his scenes were just comical, which I don't like. Which I don't know. I guess they kind of had to, because he's probably never going to get his own movie again. But, yeah, I mean...
I'm happy they're kind of setting him up to appear again down the line.
Yeah, I think...
It's kind of hard to tell which movie he is going to appear in. Because it's going to be a long time before we see an Avengers 5. We will see one, but it'll be a long time.
Yeah.
And all the next group of movies, none of them really... Hulk wouldn't fit into any of them, I don't think.
Right. Yeah.
I was fine with them being used more for comedic purposes because I just don't really like the Hulk that much. And like when he's all like smash and stuff, I'm like, yeah, whatever.
Right.
He
I
was
mean,
never a very interesting character.
yeah. I mean, I thought he was fine in this film. He was definitely one of the weaker points and didn't, have a real story arc. Um, but you definitely saw the change. I liked the scene with like him and the Elder, when he's like he's gets like pushed out of his body. I thought that was really cool.
Oh yeah,
But like, yeah. I mean,
yeah.
again, he was just kind of wasted. Same with Thor for me. Like, Thor was cool in a lot of this movie, but like, I feel like his story arc from the past several films is just gone now. And they kind of really dulled him down to this like drunken, like beer belly kind of character, which is fine. I get where they were trying to go with that character. They're trying to make, after he loses everything, he loses his mom, his father, his best friend, his girlfriend, and they wanted to show this depressed kind of Thor, and I understand that, but the way they went about it really kind of destroyed his character a bit.
Yeah, they could have done it better. They could have made it more,
Right.
I guess, depressing and sad.
Yeah.
But instead, it was made more just to be a joke.
Right. Him wearing all of these glasses and, always drinking. It didn't feel like him. It felt like a different kind of character. And if it was a different character, that'd be something different. But this is Thor, one of the highlights of Avengers Infinity War. I don't know. I was kind of disappointed, especially this is one of his final films with the main group. I was disappointed with him, to be honest.
Yeah. And I feel like he's just going to get even more into the comedy area since he's with the Guardians.
Yep. Which I like. I think he does great with them. As long as he has a real story arc, I don't mind. And I don't mind Thor with comedy. He just needs to have a storyline with the comedy.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I thought him and Thor Ragnarok was great, and they did the comedy there. Again, no problem with that, but...
The thing about the comedy in Ragnarok was that it wasn't just there to be comedy, it progressed the story.
Right.
By making him this just fat, drunk person, it doesn't really progress his story at all.
Right.
It kind of felt like he was just in a completely different movie.
It did.
Yeah.
Like, every time it switched to him, it was, like, so tonally different.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Which actually is kind of another problem, I guess, because I think Infinity War handled the different tones so well by having serious characters with serious characters and comedic characters with comedic characters.
Right.
Well, in this, since everyone was together, the tones clashed quite a bit.
Yeah, I thought the tone was kind of weird at some points. Like, it was, for the majority of the film, it was kind of a darker film, but just, like, sometimes they would just make a joke and it just wouldn't... not that it didn't land, but it just felt weird with the way, like, the tone that they're trying to go for. Which is fine, I guess. And one point I had to figure out with when we first see Hulk, I feel like the tone was really weird there, because they were trying to make this, like, sad and depressing scene, and Hulk's just making jokes and taking selfies. I'm like,
yeah,
like what movie are we in right now? Like, I found it funny.
I personally did think it was funny, the bit where Scott was like, do you want to take a picture with the Ant-Man? And then he's like, the kid is literally saying, no, he doesn't. I thought that was all pretty funny, but I agree that it didn't really fit the movie.
Yeah. I found it funny. It didn't fit. I don't know, but I thought, and I was surprised that they did this version of the Hulk like so early. Like, we jump in here and we're like, oh, you're the Professor Hulk, okay. Yeah. Like, I don't know, it felt very, I don't know. But it makes sense because there's 3 hours and they had a lot to cover, and I don't feel like there's too much filler either. Like, I was afraid of all this filler and stuff, but there really wasn't. Like, most of it was important. But yeah, and I understand why they did this 5-year time jump too. You can definitely tell they're setting up the young Avengers.
Oh yeah, definitely. There was like 3 kids of a different Avenger, or 3 kids that were related to an Avenger in some way.
Ant-Man, you got Tony, you got Hawkeye, and
4 actually. There's Harley, there's Clint's kids, there's Tony's kid, and there's Cassie.
Mm-hmm. But I do think, getting into the ending a bit, we can jump around. With Cap, he lived a whole life, so now he could technically have a child.
He could.
Yeah, so that's
true.
something I definitely want. I think they'll explore. I don't think this is going to be the exact time, like last time that we'll see him. I definitely think that he may pop in every once in a while as the older Tony or the older Steve. Every once in a while. Not very much, but
Just like Hulk, I
mhm,
don't know where he can fit in the
right,
next group of movies because they're getting like he couldn't fit in Far From Home, and not in the Black Widow prequel, not in the Eternals, not
right,
in Shang-Chi. It's gonna be
right.
weird.
Yeah. Um, but if I feel like it is possible for our version of Steve to come back, because we saw very early inside of the film, we see where Ant-Man's kind of going from the baby form to his old man form. I feel like if they wanted to, they could bring back young Steve in that kind of sense for maybe their last film or something, if they wanted to go that route, which would be kind of cool.
Yeah,
Would be, I don't know if they want to open that can of worms, but if they wanted to, I feel like that's kind of their way of maybe bringing it back. Same thing with Loki. I think now what they did with the past Loki, they could somehow bring him back too. Again, if they wanted to.
I'd say that Loki thing was set up for his TV show because we already know it's Loki jumping throughout time in
Yeah.
different places and
Oh
that,
yeah, yeah.
so it makes sense using the space
Yeah.
stone to just visit
Which
these other
they
places.
they did time travel very well too inside of this movie, because like going into it, I did not think they were going to do time travel just because of the plot holes and stuff. They didn't want to open that kind of window. Then they did it where they're like, okay, we know people are going to be analyzing this film. They're going to pull out all these plot holes. So they're like, okay, so let's just scratch that out now for like anything that happens out of the past doesn't affect the future, which was very smart. Which
It was an
very
interesting way to do it. I
yeah.
didn't think they were going to do it that way.
Yeah, that was very smart, and I can see why they did it that way.
Honestly, all of the when they were visiting the prior movies and all that, that was done so well.
Oh yeah,
Without like the Mjolnir bit and the Avengers Assemble bit, they're my favorite parts of the movie.
yeah, same.
But I honestly think I preferred the 2012 stuff
Mhm.
and all of that kind of things. Overall, I think I preferred just 2012 New York more than I preferred the third act because I was just so
It's done
overwhelmed
really
with
well.
everything
Yeah.
we were getting. Like they pretty much got the entire strike crew from Winter Soldier
Oh
back.
yeah,
Like that was the exact. Besides Jasper Sitwell, he wasn't in the elevator in Winter Soldier.
right.
But like even just the random like brutes who never talk in Winter Soldier, but who were in the elevator in that scene in Winter Soldier,
Mhm.
even they were back for it.
Right.
And I was like, the attention to detail in that was amazing. Even the sweat, the guy holding his gun, all
Mhm.
of that, it was amazing.
Right. And I love the Hail Hydra scene. That
Yeah.
had me dying. That had me
I love
dying.
that. I'd like it's such a weird comic to reference, but I'm surprised they did.
Right. Right.
They just hand him the briefcase.
You're like, oh shoot.
I just love to see the conversation after that. Like,
Right.
hey, Director Pierce, you didn't tell us that Captain America was a Hydra agent.
You're like, wait,
He's like,
what?
Then when Steve runs into his past self
Yeah, that was great.
in 2012, Steve's like, "I found Loki."
He's like, I can do this all day. I know.
I thought it was a great way to distract him by saying the Bucky was still alive.
Right.
He's like, what?
And
I love it. I can do this all day.
Yeah, I think the funniest line was when he was like, "I can do this all day," and then he's like, "I know."
That was great.
That was
The way they started that fight was amazing by both just throwing their shields at each other and they just bang off each other and go in separate directions. I thought that was amazing.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and I thought that whole fight scene was just great, and it was a great throwback. It was the
was.
whole like 2012 stuff was great. Was a great throwback. And I think like I also thought it was really funny seeing like the 2012 Hulk, and then we see our present Hulk. I thought that was really funny, in the comparisons was really cool
Yeah,
too.
it was. He's just pretending to smash.
Yeah, I think that's like the best. I think the New York stuff was the second like best stuff besides the like third act, because that whole third
Yeah.
act was insane.
I don't think they could have done the New York stuff any better.
No, yeah, same.
Cameos made sense. They weren't just there to be cameos. Because I was just thinking, of course, Hydra Shield agents would show up to get the Infinity Stones. Of course, Pierce would show up to try and get the Tesseract and Scepter of the Avengers. This makes perfect sense, and I just had never thought about it before now.
Right.
Yeah, like added things that made sense to that movie.
Yeah,
Right.
exactly.
That
Right. But yeah, and I, even though I wasn't a fan of Thor in this movie, I did like the scene with him and his mother. I thought that was probably his best
Yeah.
scenes, and I also liked Rocket's character. His character development for the past several years have been phenomenal. And this
Yeah.
is, for me, probably his best film. I've enjoyed Rocket the most in this film than I think I have in any other. And him and Thor are just amazing.
Yeah, I agree. I think Rock was best in this, maybe mainly because his other tree movies, he was funny, but it was a little annoying how mean he was to everybody.
Yeah.
In this, he was still mean sometimes, but most of the time you could tell he cared about everyone else.
Right.
And that was just nice.
And I was most interested in his character because I feel like he lost the most out of anyone. I think he almost lost the most. Like even Captain America, Black Widow, like they still had somebody. He had nobody.
Yeah,
He
he lost the only family he ever had.
Right. He had nobody, and I was really curious how they would go about his character, and they did it really well. Same thing with Nebula. I think her character was awesome too. I think she really grew a lot in this film. I'm really excited where she goes inside the Guardians 3 and forward.
I didn't care about Nebula at all before this movie.
Oh yeah.
I think she was probably my least favorite member of the Guardians cast
Right.
up until this movie, but then just seeing how much she developed over the 5-year gap and how she just kind of come into her own, I was like, yeah, I like her character now.
Right. I think they did her really well.
I was really expecting her to die.
Yes.
I was too. I mean, I guess she did.
Well, yeah,
She
but
kind of killed herself. Like,
a version. Yeah.
a version of her killed another version of her.
see, if they didn't do that thing with explaining the time travel, all this would be so confusing.
Right.
Definitely.
There'd be so many plot holes, and then Gamora, like she's technically dead. Like that version of her's dead, but now we have this like new one, right? Like this one from the past.
Yeah, I'm guessing that's what the Guardians 3 plot is going to be kind of based around,
Right.
because we saw Peter doing like a search thing on the computer for her in the scene on board the Benetton.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which is going to be very interesting with with Thor in it too. I think, like, we have to assume he's going to be inside the third one.
Hope he has his abs back.
Yes.
Yeah, same.
And
I was fine with him being fat at first, but like I didn't want it to be all throughout the
Right,
movie.
yeah.
But it was all throughout the
get back
movie.
to, like,
If
looking
it-
badass by the time the third act came around.
yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know. I was fine with that at first because I'm like, yeah, he was depressed, and
Right.
that's what happens to a lot of people that go
Yeah,
through depression.
if that was just in the first half, I'd be fine with it. I'd be so fine with it because it would make sense. But they do it throughout the whole movie, and it ruins his character down a bit. And I don't know. But yeah, I thought, and Thor, I liked him inside of the third half, but that's also just because some things happened inside the third half with Thor, which was amazing.
Yeah. Just that whole third act, Iron Man, Thor, and Captain America all going up against Thanos.
Man,
That was such a good fight scene, and
I think it's the best, to be honest. I think that's the best fight scene.
I think
inside
it
the
was.
MCU.
just the bit where, not even just Cap picking up Mjolnir, it was more so when Thor and Iron Man are down, and Cap just starts laying as much into Thanos as he can.
Mhm.
He's throwing his shield at Thanos, then he's hitting his shield with Mjolnir into him. He's
How he utilized
Totally.
both those against him was amazing.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was.
Oh,
It was
yeah.
so good. I was like, you've never done this before, but you're so good at it.
Yeah, I was like, he called lightning down and everything.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, how do you even know how to do that?
Like, you should know how to do that, but I don't care. It looks so cool.
Right. And I think it's so cool because Thor's laid down Thanos. Iron Man has kind of laid down Thanos, but Cap really just never got the chance.
Yeah, Cap never really fought him before.
Right,
He tried and just got knocked out straight away.
Right. And I think that's the coolest thing about this scene. And when he just throws Mjolnir, I was flipping out. I'm like,
Yeah.
yes, we waited so many years for this, and it paid off so well.
It's like
When-
Thor and Tony, they gave a lot of damage into him in Infinity War,
Mhm.
but I think in Endgame, Captain America overall did the most damage to him out of both movies.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Scarlet Witch did a lot of damage too. Like
Yeah,
she
she
could have
did.
low key killed him. Like
Yeah, they're starting to show how powerful she really is.
oh yeah,
Because like she's gotten to do really not much.
right. She's been
Yeah,
That's
like
probably the most she's
Kind of
done.
wasted from there.
really nerfed. She's been really nerfed. I'm glad they're kind of getting to her, and I think she's definitely gonna be the head of the MCU. She's gonna be really front and center, especially if they're doing this like mutant kind of stuff with her. I don't know if they're gonna go that route though. Like, we'll have to see.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought her character was. I mean, we didn't get to see much of her, but well, we did see what I thought was really cool. There's a lot of like references to the like old movies, like when Sam first comes up, we hear him say on your left, which was a
Yeah,
reference
that was
to
great.
the Winter Soldier, which was really cool.
That was my favorite moment in the movie.
There was also when Steve was leaving in the time travel thing, and then Steve tells Bucky to not do anything stupid, and then Bucky says, "How could I? You're taking all the stupid with you." That's the exact same thing Steve said to Bucky when Bucky was going off to the war back in the very first Captain America movie. And I was like, wow, I can't believe they brought that back.
Which, can you just imagine Cap's journey though? Like him having to return all this stuff. I mean, he had to go and
man.
put the stone back in what's her name? He had to go to Red Skull, and like,
Yeah.
and how do you
It's
even like?
crazy.
How do you even put that back? Like, you just like,
And
okay.
he's just like, yo, here's the soul stone.
Yeah, Red Skull, long time no see. Can I just slip this soul stone back here?
I kind of want to
I
see
would've loved
that.
the Captain America movie.
Could he have not
Just about that. Just about that whole journey of him returning all the stones.
That would
What
be
if-
really cool.
What if he could have just been like, yo, it's a soul for a soul, right? Can we get Black Widow back?
You want to hand her back, please? We only needed this for a minute. I was actually thinking about that. Like, does that bring Natasha back? Because,
That'd be cool.
I mean, he says a soul for a soul.
yeah, exactly.
Which, there's theories now, which I kind of like, but that when, like, you do that sacrifice thing, it's, like, kind of looks like the Eternals or whatever, and, like, when you do that sacrifice thing, you become an Eternal or something, which would be cool, but, again, I don't think they want to open that, like, can of worms. Like, it'd be really cool, but, like, I don't know.
Yeah, that would be cool, but I don't know if they're going to do that just because I couldn't see characters like Gamora and Black Widow showing up in the Eternals movie.
Right.
Especially since Black Widow's prequel is going to be before the Eternals.
Yeah. Which, speaking of Black Widow, I absolutely cried like a little baby when she died.
I wasn't crying because I didn't think it actually happened. I was like, nah, she's going to be back in the third act. They're going to do some stuff and she's going to be back. And then, no.
You didn't think she was actually dead?
No, because
I
I,
did.
just because of everything, I was like, well, they're going to want everybody for the final battle.
That's
She's
what
an
I
OG
thought
Avenger.
too. That's what I thought too. But the way that they did her death, I kind of lost it, and I found it more sad than Tony's death personally.
Really?
Because I don't know,
Yeah.
maybe it's because I liked her
Really?
better. Maybe that's why. And I feel like the way they did Tony's death was kind of weird. But I found hers more emotional personally. I don't know.
It's always emotional. I didn't really let myself feel anything during it because I just didn't think it was real.
Right? Yeah. Fair enough. I just
It's kind of the same way I felt about Gamora's death in Infinity War.
yeah,
I
same.
didn't really feel anything because I was like, well, she's going to be back in some way in Endgame.
Right.
So,
Yeah, same thing with Loki. And like, oh yeah, he's not dead. You know, like
Yes.
yeah, he's coming
I was
back.
like, huh.
Right. Yeah, but I kind of lost it during her death. And honestly, though, I didn't find the movie as emotional as some people were saying, though. Like, I was expecting to go in here and cry the whole movie, and I got out of it. I'm like, okay, yeah, that was sad, but, like, it wasn't as sad as some people were saying. Like,
Yeah. I even heard it at some of the worldwide premieres.
Uh-huh.
They were giving out tissues to people going in.
oh my god.
But I will say that this is probably the most emotional movie I've ever watched. From I guess the Avengers Assemble scene onwards, I pretty much was in some way crying for the entirety of the rest of the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Which is kind of crazy. That's never happened to me in any movie before.
Yeah. I mean, it was it was really sad.
Yeah, I didn't cry much, but like I teared up at parts, and just
Right.
like all throughout the movie, I felt emotions.
Yeah,
Like from the moment it started until it ended.
and I
Yeah, it's a
think
very emotionally heavy movie.
Scarlett
Like,
Johansson's awesome because even in the first
yeah.
like what 15 minutes when like she's making her sandwich and like she's tearing up, I'm like, don't you cry. If you cry, then I'll cry.
You said I won't be able to stop.
Like and then the scene where like Thor cuts off like Thanos' head and like you can just see it inside their eyes like we actually lost. Like
Yeah.
and that touched me too. Which
I thought that was a great scene of just them playing a bit of Porch
Right.
from the end of Infinity War, which I think is the best track from Infinity War.
Mhm.
And they just played that as Thor is just walking off after cutting off Thanos' head. It's like, that's amazing.
but I will
Like,
say
we're not even 5 minutes in, and that was amazing.
if if Thor wouldn't have cut off his head, I would probably be crying. But I was laughing once he cut off Thanos' head. I'm not gonna lie.
A lot of people in my room were crying, but I was just like, wow,
Like right,
they really cut off a head,
Right.
like just like that.
right. And I was also like, wait a minute, this was too easy. They just defeated him in the first like 10 minutes. Like, what's going on here?
So the theater I was in, this is like the only time I've heard people clap and cheer like throughout the entire movie.
Right.
And the first cheer that was in my theater was when Thor said, "I went for the head."
Right.
That was a good line, though. I did like
Yeah.
They're like, "What'd
Yeah,
you do?" It's like, "I went for the head."
that. It's like he learned his lesson.
Right. That was. Oh man.
My screen was clapping and cheering quite a lot during it.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of the third act was pretty much inaudible because everybody was cheering at everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And honestly, it didn't feel like 3 hours. Like it went.
Oh, it didn't.
It went
really
No,
really
it
quick.
didn't.
I'm like, it's over. It's been like 2 minutes. Like, what?
When Thanos' ship comes through the quantum realm thingy and just destroys the Avengers compound, I was like, so this is probably where the third act starts, but it feels like we're just entering the second act. I
Yeah,
don't see how this is.
I feel like it's when
It'll
Hulk
happen.
snapped. I feel like that's really when like. I
I'm
don't
pretty sure that's like 2 hours into the movie, and it didn't even feel like it was an hour yet.
No,
Exactly.
it didn't. It didn't.
I was like, wow, this is crazy.
I feel like I think the second watch will feel a lot longer though.
Yeah.
No, I think the first act went by a little slow at points, but like the second and third acts flew by.
Yeah.
It was freaking insane.
Yeah, like, I was thinking that a 3-hour movie, I was going to feel bored at times, but I
Right.
didn't.
I didn't know.
Yeah.
Even the things I didn't really like, I was still very entertained.
And yeah,
What the-
yeah. It's an entertaining movie, like
Yeah,
100%. Like, but I honestly, I'm tossed between a few of my favorites. But one of my favorites is when Steve says "Avengers Assemble" for like the first time.
Oh, I've been waiting for that for so long.
Yeah, I freaking loved it.
He's like Avengers. I'm like, come on, say it, come on, say it, come on, assemble. I'm like, yes.
And I just love how he didn't even shout it. He just said it calmly and with so much determination. You're like, okay, he's gonna fuck shit up.
Right,
This is gonna be great.
right, and that whole just like the whole third act is just so
It
like,
really
intense.
is. It's so much goodness and nerdiness.
right. Best.
Thanos smashing Cap's shield. Though,
Oh,
that
yeah.
got me. I was like, wow, that Age of Ultron thing actually came true.
Right, right, and it's like
Remember the Age of Ultron trailer? I was like, oh my god, if Ultron destroys Captain America's shield in this, that's going to be insane. And then he didn't, but Thanos did it in this.
And I feel like it's like some like symbolization too. Like he was the one that kind of helped the universe come back, and like half his shield got destroyed, just like half the universe did. I don't know. I don't know, but I saw something there. I don't know. I wasn't a fan of Thanos in this movie, to be honest. Like I liked him. He was cool. I just felt like he felt less interesting to me. And I think what made him so good in the past ones was that he had a character and that he had more personality. And he never wanted to kill. Like in the first ones, like he only killed when he absolutely had to. But once he came this like, when he decided to kill humanity, it just kind of felt more like a one-sided kind of villain.
See, I saw it
Well,
kind of
the
like
Go ahead.
Sorry, you go on.
The only reason he wanted to here is he basically explains it.
Yeah,
Is that he sees that they're not gonna let him
Yeah, he thinks he's
do
inevitable.
what he wants to,
right.
He just thinks,
and
it's
he's already seen that he's done it.
Yeah, fair
And I
enough.
saw that like it's a cool like to compare Tony and versus Thanos in Infinity War and Steve versus Thanos in Endgame. In Infinity War,
Right.
you know, Thanos sees that he could have lost at any time, but he's not going to, so he doesn't need to take, you know, unnecessary risks or unnecessary chances and all that. So he's kind of like to Tony, you almost beat me, and you have my respect for that. Whereas
Right.
in Endgame, Thanos thinks that it's impossible for him to lose, and so he's so cocky that when he thinks he's beaten Steve, he's like, lol, I think I've beaten you, and now I'm going to destroy all of Earth. It's such a difference between the two.
Yeah.
The way he deals with those two situations.
Yeah, granted, this one's so much younger too, so he doesn't have all the experience that he would
Yeah.
have, in like 5 years or so. Yeah. Alright.
Plus, I also think this does have to do with
4
how
years,
in
because-
the Avengers 1 and in Guardians of the Galaxy 1, while they knew the direction they were going in with Thanos, they didn't exactly know what kind of Thanos they wanted to use yet.
Mm-hmm.
And so they kind of stuck themselves in the hole, because like when they're making Endgame and they want to see 2014 Thanos, I'm pretty sure the Russos were kind of like, well, Thanos was a pretty dark character during the Guardians of the Galaxy timeline. He wasn't a good person. He was he wasn't a good person in Infinity War, but at least he was sympathetic in Infinity War. He
Yeah.
was just straight up a villain before Infinity War, so they kind of had to lean into that.
Yeah, fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I can agree with that. Yeah.
The whole third act was just insane.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And I think Spider-Man's hug with a Tony was one of the most impactful, like, scenes in this movie, where he's like, "Oh yeah, that's nice." And I think it really does reflect from Homecoming, when he like wouldn't hug Spider-Man. He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm opening the door." That was a complete like reference to that, and I think it was honestly their last moment, kind of. And I wish.
Yeah, it kind of was, because Tony was pretty much already dead by the
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
I talked to him.
I
It was
wish.
their last real moment.
Yeah, I wish they would have got like one like kind of like last sentence, but like you're amazing Spider-Man or something. Like, I don't know, something kind of like a goodbye between them. But I think they wanted to save that for Pepper, and her last, which makes sense. But
It does, yeah. Plus,
Yeah.
Tony, I guess, never really got to say goodbye to his daughter.
no, I mean,
Well, in the message.
in that message.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I forgot about that.
Which is smart.
I love you 3000.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that got me, and I think also the scene that got me too was the scene with Morgan and Happy too, when like
The
they're
cheeseburger bit.
yeah, that kind of hit me too. I'm like, oh crap. And when I was watching this film, these deaths really didn't get me that much, and then you sit down and you think about it, like, they're not coming back, man.
Yeah.
Like
They're trying to emphasize that this movie has consequences,
right.
and we're probably not going to see. If we ever see Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans in one of these movies again, I think it's going to be one of the very last MCU movies ever, and it's where they do timey-wimey stuff and they bring people back in certain ways. But I don't think these characters are ever going to be back properly.
Yeah.
And, like, Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans have made it pretty clear that they're done.
Yeah. I think if they do return, it has to be for something big, like the last Avengers film or something, like something big.
Yeah.
But people do think now that Tony will be coming back, because I don't know if you guys heard about it, but at the end of the movie, you just hear the hammer. You hear like the hammer sounds like it was inside the first Avengers movie, or the first Iron Man movie.
End credits.
Yeah. I don't think he's coming back. I just think that's a like montage of him.
Yeah, I think that's just a way to be like, this started with a man in a cave.
Right. Yeah, that's honestly what I think too.
It started and ended.
Yeah.
with the man in the cave.
Which, honestly, that's why it should have been Tony. Like, that's why it was perfect that it was Tony that dies, because he started it and he was going to end it. And I think that's really what is so impactful. And I'm glad what they did. I'm glad they did that with Tony, and I'm glad what they did with the Cap too, with him going back. I think that was the perfect way to end both of their stories.
I think it was a perfect ending for him. While it doesn't exactly really make sense, they were never clear if he just went back to our timeline and he was actually Peggy's husband all along, which would make it weird because that would mean he's technically the uncle of Sharon.
Right.
They don't explain if it's that or if it's an alternate timeline where Steve wasn't burdened and he could have went and saved Bucky and done all the things properly in that timeline. Which, if that's the case, then it doesn't explain how he got back, because he couldn't have come back through the quantum realm portal, because Hulk explains that you need somebody to operate it to bring someone back. So it's better not to think about it.
Right.
I do think it was the best way to end Steve's story.
Yeah.
I figure he was either gonna die or he was gonna do that. Like, he was gonna be reunited with Peggy somehow, some way.
I think this is the best way to do it. And
also, the song that plays in that scene, where he goes back and does dance with Peggy, I like to think that that's either, like, Steve considers that his and Peggy's song, or that's just Steve's favorite song of all time, because that's playing in The Winter Soldier when Steve returns to his apartment after Nick was shot and escaped his car and all that by the Winter Soldier. And Nick's sitting in Steve's apartment and he's playing that song really loudly. So I just like to think that's like Steve's favorite song because they've been seeding it since Winter Soldier.
Right. What? I wonder what he did with the Mjolnir though, because he took it back with him.
Yeah.
So it makes me wonder.
I'm guessing he returned it to the timeline.
Probably, actually. Yeah, that's probably true.
Oh, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I thought he just took this because he's like, I'm worthy.
He's just taking it forever.
Right.
It's like he becomes Thor now in whatever universe he's in.
Which I think the whole scene with him just picking it up was really powerful. And my personal opinion is that he was always worthy. I think even inside of Age of Ultron, he was worthy. He just didn't want to show Thor he was worthy, because, like, that was Thor's thing. That's the only thing Thor really had at that point in time. And if he would have picked it up, could you just imagine? Like, Thor would have been like, well, shoot, I'm not that special, huh? Like...
Yeah, exactly. He's like, well, guess you lead Asgard now.
Yeah, right.
I'll just get on out of here.
But yeah, I think he always could. He just didn't want to show Thor, and by this point he's like, yeah, I'm fighting Thanos. I need this thing. Like,
I think it was either that or he was burdened by Tony's parents' death.
Yeah.
And the whole Bucky situation.
I like that one more personally.
Yeah, I personally do like that one more.
Thing
but
is,
the worthy one would make sense as well.
Yeah, I think either makes sense, but I think the Civil War one.
I feel like Thor has done so much by this point. Like, in some ways, he shouldn't be worthy. And just one thing that causes Cap from not being worthy seems very weird to me.
Yeah.
I don't
I'm guessing... But see, the thing is, isn't it technically Odin who decides who's worthy, considering that he had to kind of...
I thought...
make it... Like, because remember Odin decided that Thor wasn't worthy in the first movie?
Yeah, because
he lift the hammer anymore.
Yeah, he says, like, the message or whatever, whoever shall be worthy can lift the hammer, and then sends it to Earth.
Mm-hmm.
Odin puts it on
and,
the hammer.
Because Thor can't lift it at first. He has to become worthy again.
Yeah.
Which means, like, does Odin look over Earth and like, hey, that guy down there, he seems pretty worthy.
I mean, I don't know. I just always thought it was anyone that was worthy could, like, lift it. That's just what I always assumed.
See, it is that in the comics, and it would make sense if it is that in the movies. It's just the way the movies kind of portray it.
So it's like
doesn't seem that way.
The hammer decide who's worthy.
Yeah, I mean, like, I never really thought that Thor was, like, ever, like, really worthy. Like, even at the end of Thor, like he wasn't, like, the best guy still. I feel like there's so many other people.
I agree with that. He's always been kind of a cocky,
right,
not such of a nice person.
Like, I think there's so many other people that would... I don't know. Like, he wasn't a bad guy. He's just... I still didn't consider him worthy.
Yeah. A lot of the time, he comes off more as, like, neutral, I guess, considering that he said that he's lived for... What does he say? He's lived for 1,500 years, and he's killed twice as many people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's 3,000 people he's killed. That's a lot.
That's true. That's... Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I think Thor's cool, but
He kills 2 people every year.
Like, who's gonna get it this year?
Infinity War, he killed thousands.
He did, didn't he? He just landed there and just
He
burned
just
all the outruns.
man, and then the elf, all that. Oh my god, I don't even want to think back to the Dark World. Oh, that gives me
I'm
nightmares.
surprised that, like, I know it made sense. It had to be Thor: The Dark World they went back to because the ether.
Right.
But I was like, wow, they're really going back to this movie?
Right. I was like, yeah. I feel
That interaction he had with his mother, though, that's like his mom's best thing in the MCU.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
it was.
Because she
Oh,
was
yeah.
like only the queen before that.
Yeah. Like, they wasted her in the first 2 Thor movies, so I'm
Oh,
happy
yeah.
she got that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
She
that was
finally got a scene where she had character.
Exactly.
right, and one of Thor's best scenes inside this movie, I think.
I think that was the scene that made him decide he was going to stand and fight.
Yeah, but like even after that, he felt very weird. Like he felt like he still didn't feel like himself.
Yeah, he didn't. I think, like, up until that scene, he was like, okay, I'm who I was now. You know,
Right.
my mother taught
Yeah.
me who to be, or whatever.
Right. I don't know. And then again, like I feel like bringing like Mjolnir with him felt kind of random too. Like I understand why he did it, but like you have the better hammer, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly. Like,
like-
you put Stormbreaker and you know it's the better weapon.
Right.
Why are you taking that?
I kind of think he just wanted to see if he was still worthy at first. And he's like, well, I'm worthy, I'm taking it.
I didn't
But
think of that. That's actually
I
a
don't
good
blame
point.
him though. I don't blame him. Like
Because, like, I don't know. If I went through all the crap he did and was fat like that and was
Yeah.
no laughing it for freaking the past 5 years, I would want to see if I was still worthy. And I'd be hella happy if I was.
right. But the thing that still makes me laugh is some of the like references and stuff don't like match this year. Like we got the Fortnite and we got the dabbing, and I'm like, oh, you did not just dab.
See, the dab thing is weird because not only is that 2023 when it's definitely out of date there, dabbing's pretty out of date in 2019.
Right.
So
Granted, though, this was filmed like right after Infinity War when
The last time that was in date was like 2016.
yeah, exactly.
true.
Which even during filming, I'm pretty sure they didn't finish filming until like late 2017.
Yeah. They could have just been like, hey, we're going to edit that dad thing out.
Somebody forgot to edit it out.
I feel like a lot of times in movies, these are the adults that are making this. Like, hey, kids like this stuff, right? Yeah, let's just throw it in there.
Like, you want to see Hulk dab? You know we do.
I mean, this would have been cool. Like,
It's like the mocap in
Like
season
5 years
cost
ago.
them so much that they're like, we can't edit it out. It cost us so much.
Yeah. I mean, like again, I don't think this is the perfect film, but it was definitely the like best way I think to end off this kind of franchise in a way. The Sega, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it was like when it came to fan service, they did it perfectly.
Right.
They ended most of the character arcs that they ended them perfectly.
Yeah. And I feel like again, going back to Hulk, like I don't know what they're gonna do with this dude. Like unless he gets his own show, like which is rumored, but again that'll be super expensive. I don't know what they're gonna do with this guy, like going forward. So I'm very
Yeah.
curious.
They have to just leave him sitting around till whenever they need an
Yeah.
Avengers again.
Like honestly, I think a show would be best for him because he has a lot of stuff he needs to kind of figure out and stuff. With him being the Professor Hulk and him like with a Black Widow dying, like there's a lot of character there still.
Yeah,
I
there
just
is.
don't know if they know what to do with it. Like I would love a Hulk movie, but I can't see that happening. I mean,
I was surprised that we didn't see more characters die.
yeah, same actually.
yeah, I'm surprised only 2 did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well-
like I was thinking
well,
some of the Guardians were going to
Thanos died, I guess. Or, well, no, he just got dusted.
die. Yeah.
So I guess he could come back, maybe. But like, what did Iron Man do exactly? Like that's the thing. Like,
I'm confused on how the snap works now because, like, when Thanos did it, it was just half the universe, and I guess
I feel like
I think the
I thought it was random, wasn't it?
I think
I think the user decides what it is, and Thanos
Yeah.
decided it had to be random for it to be fair.
Oh,
Whereas
okay.
Tony was like, I'm deciding it's anyone in Thanos' army.
Yeah,
Right.
because his entire army just
Yeah.
But
decided.
then I feel like what makes Tony any better than Thanos at this point? Like if he just any bad guy, he's just like okay, bye bye. Like it kind
No,
of
not any bad guy.
I know,
Anyone in
I
Thanos'
know what
army.
I'm saying, but
Yeah.
it kind of seems unfair too.
Thanos had a big enough army, so
Yeah, that was a lot of people came off the ship, and Black Order and all that.
Right,
Black Order, Chitauri, Outriders.
right. I don't know. It just felt very unfitting. I don't know. But I did like the very end scene where he's like, I am Iron Man. I'm like, yes.
Yeah, that was cool. The way he said that as well was amazing.
Yeah.
He should have snapped the other half of Peter's class, and then someone else snap him back in 5 years.
Yeah. Like that's what I thought was going to happen. Like I thought they were going to do this 5-year time jump and then snap it, and they would all go back to when it was before. But then they're like,
Yeah, I
okay,
thought that
whatever.
I was like, all right, so this is going how they're just restoring, so there was no snap after all. But nope.
Yeah.
Okay, so since they're living with the snap and whatever, everyone that didn't get snapped is technically 5 years older, right?
Right.
Yeah.
And everyone that did is just the same age.
Yeah, which is again my big problem with Peter and his school and,
And-
half the
And Ant-Man didn't age, but he's like the only, that's just because of the quantum realm.
Right. Yeah. It
Yeah.
felt like 5
But-
minutes. I think. I think. It's
So his daughter went 5 years without a father.
yeah. So,
Also, she looked way older than more
right.
than 5 years.
I thought she was like
looked living
20
in
or
a house on
something.
her own, and
She looked like almost my age.
Yeah,
that's
she
what I was thinking. I was thinking like
She looked like she was freaking 17.
Which I think that's going to play into Avenger or with the Ant-Man 3 maybe.
Yeah.
So let's
Wasn't
say
she like
got it,
10 in Ant-Man and the Wasp?
I think she's definitely going to be take over his role.
I did like the scene though where Scott was he was panicking to see if her name was on the list of the people who were snapped, and then
Yeah, and then he sees his. He's like, oh shit.
that was a really good scene.
Yeah, it was. And basically the only reason they were able to beat Thanos, get all the stones in the first place, is because of Doctor Strange.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, pretty much.
Like, if Hulk hadn't told Ancient One that, he wouldn't have gotten that stone.
Like, thanks, Strange.
Yeah.
Literally saving everything. You already did it with saying this is the only timeline or this is the one timeline we win, and
Yeah.
you're doing it by just being cool in the future. I thought that it was cool to see what the Ancient One was up to and all that during the whole Chitauri invasion.
Yeah, she was just chilling.
Chilling top of the building, watching it all happen.
Like, I could do something, but why would I?
I could go be an honorary Avenger for a couple minutes, but nah. Yeah, that was all good. I just think the 2012 stuff was so great. And then Loki pretending to be Captain America again for 2 seconds. I thought so the reason why Loki got that big thing over his mouth at the end of the first Avengers movie is because he was imitating Captain America on the way from Stark Tower. That's brilliant. But I thought it was great. There was all the stuff they did. It wasn't really, there was nothing retconny about it. It all made sense.
Yeah, all the stuff they added made sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then we got to the beginning of Guardians 1 again with Peter.
Yes.
War Machine just knocks him out.
I like, and I think that was a cool thing that they did with him, us being able to hear, see him, without the music, which I think is so cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I never
That's
thought
the
about,
real
what it sounded like without the music. 'Cause I'm
Right.
just like, dang, this is good music.
Right, and then we see him just dancing
then-
around.
It's just him singing.
Do you know what I feel like was a waste opportunity, though? Not seeing Peter's reaction to being back on Earth. Considering that he hasn't been on Earth since he was taken by Yondu 30 years ago? Ish.
Oh yeah, true.
I was really hoping we'd see him something, or even just be like, oh my god, Captain America, you were like a childhood hero of mine.
Yeah,
And he put that together.
yeah.
I only
same.
put that there, and we were just talking about him. I was like, this
I
is
never thought about him like he actually was on Earth.
Yeah, that didn't cross my mind.
But
Uh,
I actually usually just forget about him being like half human and being
Same.
in the galaxy the entire time.
Because
right.
it's never really brought up. Like, even in Infinity War, you would think he would have been shocked to meet other humans up in space, but no, he's just
Right.
like, oh, so Tony's just like, you're from Earth, and he's like, no, I'm from Missouri. Whatever. Like, come on, aren't you a little surprised you're just seeing probably the first humans you've seen since you were 9?
Right. Right.
I, I deal with that line. So you're from Earth? No, I'm from Missouri. Missouri is on Earth, dipshit.
Just that whole sequence in Infinity War is great.
Oh
Was
yeah.
Footloose still the greatest movie ever? And Peter's just like, it never was.
It never was. Just the look of Peter afterwards. Or Peter Quill, I mean.
Oh my god. See, I think, and a lot of people are going to be mad, but I still think Infinity War is the better film, personally. And I overall enjoy Infinity War more. Like, a lot of people aren't going to, I'll agree with that, but
The thing is, I think Endgame had moments I enjoyed more than Infinity War,
Right,
but
yeah.
like I think they had bigger missteps at the same time.
yeah.
I completely agree with that. Endgame is, I like Endgame more, but I think Endgame's highs are much bigger than Infinity War's highs, but Endgame's lows are much lower than Infinity War's lows.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can agree with that, yeah. But I think the funny moments are, like, they got some of the funniest moments inside of the MCU, like, and then at the same time, there's some points where, like, really, like, I don't know.
Yeah. I think it just has to come down with so many characters interacting that haven't interacted prior. It's
Yeah.
just cool seeing them all kind of.
Right. This one's more, like,
Oh.
like, lowly focused on the, like, a few many characters, and then with Infinity War, you got, like, everyone, man. Like,
Yeah, exactly. You got much more time to kind of see characters interact in Infinity War.
mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah. And it's kind of like a fan service film. Like, that was kind of a, like, fan service, too, the way that they did all that. But, yeah, I think, like, I think Endgame is the second most entertaining. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's a good movie. I don't think it's, like, the best thing ever, but it's definitely really good. I'm trying to think, like, man, there's...
I'm surprised how much, like, mixed reactions, I guess, there is. Like, I haven't really been looking at proper reviews much, more than the people I normally watch. But, like, just reactions on Twitter, I'm seeing some people be like, this is the greatest MCU movie of all time. And then others just being like, this was the worst Marvel movie I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow, there's such a difference.
Right.
That's it's kind of shocking that people are
It
saying
is.
it's the worst.
Right, it's Dark World. Like, this puts the Dark World to shame. Like,
Oh, yeah, definitely. Oh, yeah, like, how can somebody like the Dark World more than this?
Yeah, this.
there's
I don't know how anyone can like any of the lower tier ones more than this.
like
Yeah.
Iron Man 2 and Iron Man 3 compared to this. Like, no way. Like, no.
I mean, people like what they like, but
Right, yeah.
seriously?
Yeah, everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but
Everybody has their opinion.
I just
But
have a
what
hard time.
Exactly.
Like, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, but, like, I don't know. I understand why people are saying that they don't like the first, like, two halves because it's, like, really boring, but I found overall, I found it entertaining, at least.
Yeah.
Like, the whole movie
I wasn't bored once.
Right, no, I was not bored. I found it at least a little entertaining. Yeah. I think on the third half is 100% the best. Like, the best half, I guess, of the MCU. Like, the best, yeah.
I think it was one of the best from when they got to 2012 New York until the very end of the movie. I think that was probably the best
Yeah.
hour and a half I've ever seen in any movie
Right.
ever.
Yeah.
I was just so happy with everything they did from that point on.
Oh, yeah, same. I thought the funeral was beautiful. And I liked Nick Fury being inside of the back, where he just looking upon Tony. It's like, I did my job. I put together the Avengers. It all started with him going forward, I think that was really beautiful. I think it's best that he didn't say anything either.
Which up to that point, I completely forgot about him and Maria Hill.
Right.
When they showed up at the funeral, I was like, oh yeah, they were part of that whole snap thing too.
Right. I'm like, oh yeah, they're back. Like, Nick has been underused though the past like several years.
He
Like,
has.
I'm excited for Far From Home because this is gonna be his first movie since what, Winter Soldier, ish. Right?
Age of Ultron.
Yeah. Oh, was it? Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Age of Ultron. But besides that, he's been kind of absent, which I understand why. But like, I want to see.
I hope
more.
he's gonna have a big part in Far From Home, and he's not just like there for a few minutes.
No,
Yeah,
I think he's on.
I think he will because they showed a lot of him in the first trailer.
I think he's kind of going to take like Tony's job and kind of be that like mentor kind of character.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think that's.
Which I hope the second trailer for Far From Home, it turns out that the first trailer was like mostly stuff that isn't in the movie, because when you look at the first trailer for Far From Home and then you kind of think about how that's a world where half of humanity would
Yeah,
like
this is after Endgame.
Right.
Yeah, it's like
Or
it
even-
should look a lot darker and
I think.
just not the way it does.
Right. Yeah. It seems. I heard it's going to be like 15 minutes after Endgame takes place.
Yeah.
So.
I heard that too.
What I think is going to happen.
So directly after?
That's
Yeah,
apparently
like
what they said.
they're
But
Damn.
after.
here's what I think. I think they're going to do like the first 10 minutes might be right after and showing like how they're still living and how they're adapting, and then I think they're
Yeah.
going to do that like time jump until like he's kind of got over Tony a bit, because y'all know he's going to be a wreck after Tony's dying.
Yeah, he is.
So there has to be at least some kind of time jump. But yeah,
But I don't know how much of a time jump they can do because they're already in 23.
that's true. That's something that's going to be like plot hole-ish.
Like, because this doesn't just mess with what Far From Home can do. This messes with what Doctor Strange 2 can do, what Black Panther 2 can do.
Right. This is a
Like,
huge.
all of these movies.
Yeah, I think this one will cause a lot of mishaps.
And isn't Peter like a junior?
Yeah, he was...
So they can't do that big of a time jump for him to still be in high school.
Yeah, well, this will be summer vacation, I think, right? Yeah.
Yes, it is, yeah.
So it'll be during the summer. So like, what he'll be going like, Spider-Man 3. He should be in like his senior year. Or so.
Instead of Far From Home, it'll be Far From Prom.
Yeah. I don't know why people like people want them to keep that like home like thing going for like all his movies. I'm like, I don't think that's necessary.
Yeah, I don't know
I
how
mean,
many versions
If
of
it's
the
a
word home
trilogy,
they
you
use.
might as well.
I mean,
Yeah.
I honestly think that they're gonna do more than 3 movies though, because Spider-Man has so much. Like a lot of people say they have to have 3 movies because
All Phase 4 is gonna be is Spider-Man and Black Panther.
See, I don't know. I have a feeling that I think they're definitely contracted for a trilogy. I know that people are saying that Far From Home was technically the 5th movie of Peter's 5-movie contract, or of Tom Holland's 5-movie
He's
contract.
gonna have way more.
But I think
Was technically the what?
5th.
So Sony gave Marvel back during Civil War. They gave them to start off with a 5-movie contract.
Oh,
with
okay, yeah.
Civil War, Homecoming, Infinity War, Endgame, and now Far From Home. And I think that they're definitely going to get a 3rd movie out of this. But I have a feeling Sony might pull out of this deal because since Venom and Into the Spider-Verse did so well,
Yeah.
this
I
is going to
don't-
give Sony kind of confidence that they can go it on their own.
I don't think so, because they get a lot of money from this deal. Because they get like what, half of the profits from like their movies. Like, no, there's no way. I don't.
They just
Yeah, but
think it's a
Venom
full
made
profit
almost
from
as much as Homecoming did.
Yeah,
but
exactly.
they get.
And if they can make that with Venom, they can make it with Spider-Man.
I don't
Oh,
know
yeah.
if
And,
this
if
universe
they
could-
did, I don't know, another Venom movie, and then the 3rd Venom movie had Spider-Man show up, they could conceivably create a pretty successful universe. Like, I don't think it'll ever be as successful as the MCU.
I don't think
they definitely
anything
do
really
like-
ever will be.
No, that's true. I think they could definitely make their villain Spider-Man universe be as successful as maybe Phase 1 Marvel movies.
I don't know. Maybe. I mean, the fact that they're doing these like villain movies without Spider-Man, it's just a bad idea.
See, it's a bad idea, but it's working.
I mean, it's making them money.
I didn't think it
so-
was gonna work. But here we are.
Venom made a lot of money.
Now we
Yeah,
got Morbius and Venom 2. And Into the Spider-Verse TV show is coming.
Yeah, true. Into the Spider-Verse, it wasn't surprisingly good. Like, I did not have very high expectations for it. Granted, I don't like Sony very much,
Yeah,
but
same.
I
I wasn't expecting anything out of it.
right. And I'm like, wow, this is actually good. Sony actually made a good movie. Like,
I was going to completely just skip it until everybody started saying about how good it was. I'm
Right.
like,
Yeah,
oh,
me too.
yeah, I'm like,
I wasn't even gonna watch it like ever.
and
Same.
they're like, wait, like,
And then everyone's like, "This is like the best superhero movie ever." I'm like, "What?
right? I'm like,
Really?"
wait, really? Like,
Like, we'll see about that. Batman and Robin still has a pretty good crown.
Yeah, I think Batman and Robin is still at the top.
oh, well, okay then.
The entire time I was watching Endgame, I was like, "This would be so much better if it was Batman and Robin."
Oh,
Like, where is Bane?
oh
Bane
That's just
shows up
cold,
and breaks
man.
Thanos' back.
Bomb.
It's like, if Batman was here with his back credit card, this would be over in 10 seconds.
oh, jeez. I love and hate that movie all the same.
I still need to watch it.
I only love it.
Only love it. Okay.
The only opinion is love it. Anybody who doesn't have the opinion that they love it is wrong.
Okay. We just lost like 2 subs, alright? So,
Yeah,
like,
you were wrong. We can't lose
Yeah,
subs from a video
everybody
that's
who's
gonna get
listening
no
to this-
views though.
guys, I'm sorry. We love you 10,000. Isn't that how it goes?
3,000.
3,000. There we go.
10,000.
We love you 3,000, so don't unsub. We love you.
Help
even though
us.
Even though we don't know you.
But if you don't like Batman and Robin, then this might not be the channel for you.
I'm done.
Where do you guys think that they're going to kind of take the MCU next, after the next kind of batch of movies that we know are coming?
I think that they're kind of. I think they should take a break from the Avengers and all these team up movies. I think just kind of make build up these kind of
Yeah, definitely.
kind of build up the heroes they got now. We got Spider-Man, we got Doctor Strange, we got the Black Panther, we got the Internals, maybe Fantastic Four in the next several years, and maybe one Avengers movie inside a Phase 4, maybe at the very end. And
I think they should start doing kind of what they started to do in Phase 3, which having a lot of movies that they're not called they're not the third movie in somebody's trilogy or that. They're just kind of a standalone movie of 2 characters teaming up.
Yeah,
Like maybe a standalone movie of Spider-Man and Ant-Man.
that'd be cool.
And
Yeah,
both of their casts just come together for one standalone movie.
Yeah,
Or something
yeah.
like that. Things like
Oh,
that'd
yeah.
be cool.
and that's maybe what they'll do with Hulk. I think they'll try to find a movie to stick him in. Like maybe Thor 4, because even though people just say they won't have a Thor 4, I think there's a high possibility because I think he has a lot of
Yeah.
story left. Same
Taika
thing,
wants to come back, so.
and I think because Chris Hemsworth, I don't think he's done. He has said at many times he doesn't want to be done with the franchise. And he said if they bring him back, he would come back. So I definitely
Yeah.
think. I mean, he got Guardians. I think they could possibly have 2 more movies if done right. Thor, maybe a Thor 4. Avengers, I would say maybe. So whatever they want to do with Chris Hemsworth, I think, and maybe again Hulk in a Thor 4 maybe, because that's the only really place I can see him in. And it's either a Thor movie or a Avengers movie.
Yeah, see, he only really fits with any movies that have cosmic ties. Like, he's not going to fit in a Spider-Man movie or an Ant-Man movie. Like, you have to pick and choose what they-
Imagine him in a Spider-Man.
That'd be great. I would
That'd
love
be
that.
fun. Yeah.
Oh, what if he since he's Professor Hulk, what if he substituted?
Oh,
That would be
I
so
already know that
cool.
there's Bruce Banner posters in Peter's school.
That
That would
so
be
cool.
amazing.
I'd be down for that.
I found a way to fit him in, Connor.
You did it. Call up Kevin Feige there. Ask him, hey, we have an idea for a new movie.
Oh.
Spider-Man, Professor Hulk, Far From Home.
They should do that because they had like the Captain America things in Homecoming.
Be like,
just
this
have
is-
the,
Yeah.
just
They-
have Hulk substituting in
Hulk
classes.
They'd be like, this is the most smashing Spider-Man movie ever made. This is a smashing hit.
We did it.
That would actually not be bad, actually. I feel like they could
Oh, they
pull
definitely
it off.
would.
They could pull it off. But yeah, the MCU isn't done. I think we still got at least a good 10 years of these movies.
Yeah.
Because they
With
get a
the
lot
Fox merger,
Oh, yeah.
who knows what's gonna happen?
I don't think
I
we're on...
still think that Endgame's going to be the peak, though. I don't think that the
Yeah,
MCU is ever
definitely.
going to reach the heights.
Yeah, I think with this and some of the TV shows ending, I think superhero stuff is going to start going down a bit. I think this is the year where we've had the most superhero movies, and then I think it's going to slowly edge down.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's you're probably right.
And like they have merchandised this these superhero stuff so much the past several years that I think some people are starting to get tired of it, which is sad because I love this. I love this kind of stuff, but
There's still a lot of TV shows.
Oh,
There-
there is still a lot of TV shows.
there's a lot.
A lot of them are ending though. Like with the Marvel Netflix one's done, Agents of Shield's ending next season, Arrow's
Arrow,
ending.
Gotham ended.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure if enough, I don't know. I can see Daredevil coming back.
I heard something the other day where they're technically not allowed to do anything until
Yeah,
after
I
2020
saw
or
that
something.
too. Disney's lawyers said don't start developing anything to do with the Marvel Netflix characters until after 2020.
Which I'm fine with. Because we have so much at this point in time.
I mean, 2021's only 2 years.
That's true.
Yeah,
Wait.
I think with the MCU, what's so interesting going forward is for the first time we're getting these TV shows with a high budget. I think I'm excited for this Hawkeye show, which is definitely going to, I think, do a lot for the MCU. I think the Bucky and Falcon show's going to do good. Speaking of
I
that,
can't
though,
wait for that.
speaking about that, what do you think about Falcon taking over the mantle of a Captain America?
I would have preferred it to be Bucky, but I'm just happy we are getting another Captain America.
You know,
Yeah.
I felt like neither of them were worthy, to be honest. Like, I feel like this version of Falcon and this version of Bucky isn't quite worthy of the Captain America mantle. Just, at least at this point.
Yeah.
Like, I would have rathered them have their show first, and then have their character development, and then maybe give it to, like, one of them.
I really wanted them to, like, Steve to be like, okay, you two are both worthy in my eyes. Decide between yourselves who's going to be the next Captain America.
That'd be cool.
And then their TV show, it was going to be the two of them just trying to one up each other or going
That'd
to
be
like
cool.
trials or something to find out who's going to be.
Oh my god. That'd be so entertaining, too. Right.
That's basically like 6 hours of Bucky asking Sam to pull his seat up. And Sam,
Yeah, I mean... Well,
But
go ahead.
also speaking of Hawkeye, so they didn't know that they were gonna have to trade a soul for the Soul Stone.
Mm-hmm.
So I wasn't even thinking about that until they got there. I'm like, oh shit, one of them's gonna
Yeah.
die.
Right, I
that's
didn't...
just convenient that you chose the two Avengers who care about each other.
Like when they went with War Machine and Nebula to Guardians 1 or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, okay, and then they went off. I'm like, oh, where are they going? Like, I wasn't even thinking. I'm like, oh,
Right.
the Soul Stone.
Yeah.
And, like, once they, like, got there, I'm like, oh, shoot, one of them's gonna die. Oh, shoot. Which, I
You
think...
know, it didn't even cross my mind because they were like all happy and stuff. I'm like, okay, they're gonna go get a stone. And then it shows Boromir. I'm like, oh shit.
I kind of wish that Captain, like, would have been there, though. That Captain America, for he could have seen a Red Skull. Like, I still want that. I still kind of want that. But yeah.
They
And
should just do what Connor said and just put it on Disney Plus, showing him putting all
Yeah,
the
that'd be
stones
so
back.
good.
that would actually be really cool.
Like 6 episodes or something.
I feel like even just like an hour thing, just like 2 episodes or something, just him going all around, that'd be really cool. But
I would love that.
I don't think Chris Evans wants to do this thing anymore. Like he's
No,
said,
I think he's done.
he said several times that, hey, I'm out, peace. This has been a fun 7 or so years. I'm out, bye. Like,
It's like peace.
right. And I think Downey kind of wanted to do it. Like he said, he's kind of said that he's definitely going to miss it. So I could see him turning over Chris Evans.
Downey just costs a lot of money. Didn't he get something absurd for his appearances in Homecoming?
Yeah, I think so.
He gets something absurd for like every movie.
Yeah. I guess that's not too bad for Homecoming though, because Sony had to pay for it.
But like I hear, like every movie that he's in gets a lot of money. Like
they're like, sure, Downey, you want $500 million? You got it.
Like,
no problem.
Like you could put Tony Stark inside of a Howard the Duck movie and it would make $1 billion. Like that's.
Hey, I'd watch it. I'd be there opening night.
That actually, right? Which I feel like the MCU could make it good though. Like the MCU does such a good job at turning these like low kind of comic book characters into like a phenomenon. You got the Guardians, you got Ant-Man, like geez. Captain even, because like Captain wasn't the like coolest hero.
Yeah, Captain America is such. I love this character before they started making him into a movie, but how did they do it so well? He's such an outdated character. It shouldn't act as well as it did.
Right.
I kind of liked Captain America before the MCU, and the MCU made me love him.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Same. Yeah. Same. Yeah.
Because like before I was like, oh, Captain America, I don't got anything against him, and then now I'm like, I freaking love Captain America.
For me, it was Winter Soldier. Winter Soldier. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just saying, don't hurt my Captain America.
Oh, because Winter Soldier made me love this character. Like I liked him inside the first Avengers. I liked him inside the first the first Avengers and then the first Avengers. But it was Winter Soldier that really made me love this character, and I think that really did that character justice. That was definitely his best movie by far by that point.
I see like Avengers as a transition from the cheesy Captain America into the serious Captain America, and then Winter Soldier just gave us a full-on look at him in the modern world.
Yes, I think that's definitely the best version of him. I think the best version of Black Widow too. I think that was definitely her best film.
See, Captain America is another reason I'm having a hard time deciding between which is better, Endgame or Infinity War, because Captain America is easily my favorite MCU character.
Yeah, same.
And he had so much to do in Endgame, and he didn't do much in Infinity War.
What he did in Infinity War was great, but there was so little of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, same. I mean, I understand why, but he was very underused. Like, there's so much going on, but I think his scene, this was some of his best scenes, period. I don't know, and I honestly, I wish we would have had more of just Iron Man and Cap, because, like, they never really finished what they did inside of Civil War. Like, they kind of left that unsolved. Like, for the future Avengers, like, what do they do? Are they on their own, or are they, like, are they controlled by the government? So I really wish they kind of would have solved that a bit.
Tony probably just snapped the government out of existence.
They don't cover this in Endgame, but anybody who ever annoyed Tony also got snapped. just in a...
Ever annoyed him?
Wow, that's weird that those people who were opposing Stark Industries never got returned from the snap. Huh.
I mean, if that's ever annoyed him, then Cap would probably be gone too, so...
Yeah, that's true.
Like, they didn't always see eye to eye. But anyway,
he just knew that the Cap was one of the only people who could bring the Iron Man suit back to his house without, like, crushing it. Because, you know, he's got the strength, but he's not like Hulk where he's going to crush on the way back. So he's like, he kind of needed Cap to survive.
Man. There's honestly a lot of, like, these plot holes, too, with, like, the Infinity Stones. Like, there's scenes where people are just, like, holding them inside of their hands, which we found out is not the easiest task. Star-Lord was barely able to. And then with the, like, Tesseract, like, they were just holding them, and I'm like, okay, now, okay, whatever.
Yeah, didn't they, like, establish that holding the Tesseract kind of burns into your hand?
Right. Which, in Captain Marvel, bugged me, because, like, they just had it inside of a lunchbox, and I'm like, that's not, like, scientifically possible. Like, how you doing that? Like,
what you doing here?
Like, and then...
Now that we know the Infinity Stones are destroyed in the main universe, do you guys think they're coming back? Like, do you think we're going to see them again in another movie?
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't think they'll open that can of worms like that. This was the Infinity Saga, so I think they may want to leave that back there. Like, kind of
Yeah.
like start their own thing. I mean, they could, but I don't.
I don't see them coming back anytime soon.
Yeah, I mean,
I think it's entirely possible that he could
in
down the
prequels
line.
and stuff,
Though.
yeah, I think in prequel movies, totally. Maybe in the like Captain Marvel 2 or maybe Black Widow, but I don't probably not Black Widow. I don't know. But
Black Widow just looks over and sees the ether, and she's like, "What the fuck is that?"
yeah, but I think I'm most excited about the Black Widow movie, and I hope like it's not her only movie. Like I hope they do all these like, prequel movies like for her, like a a 2 and a 3, like in between all these films.
So this is kind of random, but how exactly did Rocket just extract the ether out of Jane?
And can you
Did he
just
just like poke her in the leg with the thingy or the needle or whatever? Suck it out.
but just imagine her day. She comes in, she has this thing in her, and then a talking raccoon comes in, sucks it out of her. Just for seconds later, Captain America to put it back in.
Oh yeah, he would have had to put that back in. Wouldn't he?
Oh,
I didn't think of that.
Can you
I
imagine
didn't
the day
either.
she's having? She's like, sorry,
No, I'm
miss.
actually proud of that. They didn't even get Natalie Portman back, from what I understand. I think that was unused footage from the Dark World.
Yeah, I think so too.
Which is crazy. It's kind of crazy that like she still has such a problem with Marvel that she won't even go back for small cameos.
What's her problem with it? I don't think I ever heard that.
Patty Jenkins, who directed Wonder Woman, she was supposed to direct Thor 2, but there was like she didn't want to direct it the way that Marvel wanted it. Like she didn't want to do a load of stuff that Marvel wanted in it, and so they replaced her with whoever the director ended up being, and Natalie Portman and the actress plays Darcy and all them were like huge friends of Patty Jenkins. They got annoyed over that.
did she not want to do Dark Elves or something?
I'd say that's it. She probably looked at what Marvel wanted in it and was like, what
Why did Marvel even want Dark Elves?
I don't know.
Like, that seems like a terrible idea. And it
'Cause
was.
they needed to match the Dark World name. They already committed to the Dark World name and didn't want to change it. Like, right, Dark Elves.
The worst MCU villain. 100%.
Yeah, literally.
No, the worst
So-
MCU villain is obviously Thanos. He couldn't even freaking win.
Totally, I mean, like, no MCU villain
Only
can
Marvel
ever
villain
win.
gets head cut off.
Yeah, he's the only Marvel villain to get decapitated.
I mean, didn't, like, Ultron's head get cut off, too? Or
Who?
something? Ultron? His head,
Oh, I don't know.
didn't his head, like...
He's just a robot, though. Who cares?
Which I think he could still come back, to be honest. I think there's a chance we could see him back.
Remember all
There are
those
so many
theories?
theories around Ultron coming back.
Yeah. Remember all those theories about, like, Ultron was going to be in this movie, or, like, Galactus, or some other mad villain from comics? And I kept being like, no, that's going to happen. And remember when Thanos said that there's something coming into the atmosphere? Or somebody said there's something coming into the atmosphere?
Yeah.
For
Did
a
you think it
split
was
second,
Ultron?
I was like, is this going to be another one of those villains everybody was theorizing about? That'd be crazy.
That would be nuts, yeah. I mean, I still think there's a chance that we could see Death at some point, too.
I guess Hela was already kind of deaf.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, kind of. But I don't think that she's dead either, though, to be honest. Like, you can see, like, a little glow when, like, she's about to be killed. So I think that she may have, like, went somewhere. I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, she was too good of a villain to just be, to just be gone. I don't think that.
Yeah. Yeah, she was the goddess of death. I don't think she's done.
But yeah, I definitely think that we'll be seeing more of her in the future. Yeah. Anything
Yeah.
else on Avengers Endgame?
Sorry?
Anything else from Avengers Endgame that we want to talk about?
Not really that I could think of. First TV show and movie crossover, I guess. They got Darcy James back, who played Edwin Jarvis in Agent Carter. They got him back for a brief cameo for
That's
the
right.
scene where Howard went back to his car.
Yeah,
And
right.
guy stand there. And I was like, wow, this is the first TV show character to appear in the TV show first and then come into the movies.
Yeah, true. I mean,
And we also got references to Zola when
Yeah.
Tony was down there looking for the Tesseract and stuff.
which I think I would like some more TV show crossovers. Maybe with like the TV
Oh, I'd love
shows
it.
with like the new like Disney streaming service ones or something. Like I think
I
that
think we're definitely going to see crossovers with them.
hmm like maybe Daredevil and like Vision or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. But I'm definitely excited going forward. Like this is probably going to be the last like amazing one, or like to this scale, if you will. Like
Yeah.
I think
definitely.
I think Sega 1 is going to be a lot better than the second saga.
Yeah, I think if we ever see another event like Endgame, it's going to be at the very, very, very end
Right.
of the MCU.
Yeah, like
Like
10
the
years.
last movie they do.
Yeah, like in Phase 6. And I think that's really... I think they could easily just go until Phase 6. So we got, what, Phase 4, 5, and 6, and now kind of wrap it up, I think. And that's
Yeah.
that's around, like, what, 10, 15 years?
See, I don't see Marvel like pretty much every Marvel movie now is making at least $1 billion,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't see that continuing. I think that probably now after Endgame, like I think for the next movie or two, the MCU will still be making absurdly high numbers, but I think there's going to start being a pretty big decline in how much they're
Yeah.
making.
There's already people that have said, I'm done after this
Yeah.
movie.
I've seen a lot of that too.
Yeah, which I can understand. But I still think, like, from these past several movies, they're going to push these films as much as they can to get as much money out of these movies as they can. Just like Star Wars, they're going to try to push, the money, even though they don't make as much as they used to. They're still going to try to push it for at least a good 10 years or so, I would say.
Yeah.
And I'm excited where it goes. And I feel like it is a franchise where they can go on a while with so many stories and stuff.
Yeah, there's so much they can do.
They got Spider-Man still, and they got Black Panther, which I think is going to carry this franchise. I think those two are absolutely going to be the ones that bring in the most money.
I'm excited to see where the MCU goes after this, but I'd be lying if I said I was still very hyped. I'm still hyped, I guess. I'm just not as into everything as I was.
Yeah, that's fair.
Like, we've seen the big event. My favorite characters are done.
Yeah,
So
I think they're going to count on these Fox properties, though. Like, I think the Fantastic Four could do good. I think they could, and I think the X-Men may bring some new light into things. I think Phase 4 is definitely can probably like wrap up a lot of these stories, and then Phase 4 is on the kind of, or Phase 5 is on to start kind of new, and some of these new characters a bit, which I think is all needed. I think, but yeah, I think it's gonna go strong for a while at least.
yeah, I agree.
But yeah, that's all.
That's
So, yeah,
all,
as
folks.
You can probably tell we hated Endgame. All of us couldn't stand it. Worst MCU. No, we loved it.
Yeah. But if you enjoyed our little bundle, make sure to check out all of our other channels. We try to do a podcast each week, but that doesn't always happen. So make sure to subscribe, and we'll see y'all later, I guess.
Yeah, thank you for listening or watching.
Bye. About an hour and a half.
That's pretty good time for a podcast.
Yeah.
About 1 hour.
Yeah, I think we got a lot out of that.
Yeah, I think we kind of touched at least everything, at least a little bit.
Yeah.